Welcome to episode 283 of the Working Fans Podcast, where even though one of us may have been in a car accident this week and did more flips than a luchador, he is ready to tell you about Game Up Hard Hydration. They're our sponsor. It's like your favorite sports drink, your favorite seltzer got together, became a better creation, but it's so much better. Even if Dave was in the emergency room right now, he'd be able to tell you that.
That's right. I'd be telling you right now, this comes in 4 great flavors: fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. And guys, it's only 110 calories. It's low carb, much like I was low carb when I was flying through the air. Nice and light.
Another guy that likes to fly through the air is Jey Uso. And last week we were able to talk to you about the Royal Rumble, give you results. But on Monday Night Raw, Jey Uso got a reaction that I was even a little surprised by, because even though Jey Uso's been hot, I really didn't expect him to win the Rumble. But when you see how the crowd reacted on Raw, it felt like the right move.
Yes, it kind of felt like the, people aren't going to like this analogy right now, but it kind of felt like that Hulk Hogan the day after the WrestleMania with him and Rock, when everybody was real appreciative at that time of Hulk Hogan and where he was in the business. Hogan got that monster pop. That was kind of Jey Uso. Like the pop just kept going, and they had to do like an encore, which they ended up doing again on SmackDown, by the way, too. So Jey Uso is extremely over right now. He's extremely hot. And, I don't think they could have picked a better time to give him that Royal Rumble victory and kind of solidify his status at top. Where he goes at Mania, man, you could go either direction. Like him and Cody, there's a great story there because of the tag titles they had briefly and the relationship they had, but also Gunther, who he hasn't been able to defeat yet. And Gunther's been built up so well over the last couple of years that I think there's a great story there. So either way, things are looking up for Jey Uso.
Yeah, it's really making this time of year exciting because, Gunther seems like the obvious choice from coming off that loss at Saturday night's main event, having them go back and forth so much. But then it's also intriguing to think Jey Uso and Cody. Yeah. What if he got that championship? What if he was the one to take the belt off of Cody? He almost feels hot enough where it could happen and it wouldn't even hurt Cody.
No, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, it's definitely something I could see happening. And honestly, I don't feel I think I'm favoring the Gunther matchup because I think there's so many matchups for Cody. But I could see them going Jey Uso, Cody too. There's a lot of different directions they could go right now. And the great thing with WWE right now is they got everybody so hot is, I heard a rumor that they may do Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins as a triple threat match. All right, and then Cena, I was thinking you could always go with Cody, but what if Cena wrestles like Logan Paul? And then that's a matchup you go. Then you could do Jey Uso and Cody, and there's plenty of people you can build up to wrestle Gunther. So I don't know. There's a lot of different things you could do right now.
Yeah, everything's going forward towards WrestleMania, looking very exciting. You had Jey Uso winning on the men's side. You had Charlotte Flair winning on the women's side. And what did you think of her promo on Raw? Because it definitely didn't have quite the reaction that Jey Uso did, but the people did react to her.
Yeah, I think that people were responding. It was very polarizing. I think a lot of people still do not like Charlotte Flair. They don't like the fact that they feel that she's been shoved down people's throats over the years. I don't think they've ever fully gotten over the fact that, people thought that Becky Lynch or Bayley or even Sasha at the time should have been the top, but it was always Charlotte because, Vince had this thing, it was, we would say for blondes and the last name Flair. But I think WWE was expecting her to get a babyface pop here, because it looked like she was trying to cut that babyface promo. But Charlotte went with it, and if you look at her promos on NXT that followed up, and if you look at her promos that followed up on SmackDown, it's not like she's become a full-fledged heel or anything yet, but it looks like she's starting to lean more to that heel side. And hey, some people are just meant to be heels. So, it's a polarizing pick, quite the opposite of Jey Uso, but I think it creates some interest right now in that women's division.
I haven't yet seen what Charlotte said on SmackDown, but I thought the NXT promo just seemed to flow much better than the Raw one and be received better by the crowd. Honestly, I'm not too excited if they do Charlotte and Rhea Ripley again because we've seen that a couple times
Right.
already at Mania, and it's like I'm interested in seeing who else Charlotte could go up against. And there was also the news this week that the divorce between her and Andrade is final now. It's
Yeah.
something we had heard about a while ago, but the news came out this week. Um, Odd to drop it the week she returns, but I'm sure it's, this superstar is coming back. This is what else is going on with her. Got to be something to get clicks.
And at the end of the day, too, I mean, it speaks to the professionalism of these two. A lot of times they used to, in the past, move people to different brands or do something. These two, same company, same brands. Andrade just wrestled on SmackDown this week. Charlotte's all over the place. I don't think it affects either one of them.
Yeah, and we are going to move from WWE to AEW because AEW Grand Slam is going to be next weekend next weekend as
Yes.
we do this. And I want to make some predictions on this card. It's not a huge card right now. We got
No.
4 matches that I saw.
Yep.
And it's going to be in that collision time slot.
Well,
who do you
a little
got?
later. It's after the NBA game.
Later, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the All-Star weekend is that weekend. So you got Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus Adam Copeland and Jay White in a Brisbane brawl. This has to be Copeland and White, right?
Yes. I'm trying to think who gets the pin. I was thinking Copeland will get the pin to lead to the pay-per-view, but since they're in Australia, I'm thinking Jay White might be the one who pins Moxley. But yeah, nonetheless, definitely who's getting the win? I'm going Copeland and White.
Another star-studded match on this card: Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. Even though I believe Kyle Fletcher is a native of Australia,
Yes.
he might just be English. He's Australian?
Yes, he is.
Hell yeah. But he is going to be losing because there's no way that Ospreay and Omega, I don't think, are going to lose this match. If they lose this match, maybe somehow it leads to a feud between them, but I see them getting the win on this one.
I don't think they want to put every Australian person over, per se. It's a little too predictable, so I agree with you. So I'm going to go with Ospreay and Omega. We might not be disagreeing on too much. Maybe when we get to the women's match, we'll see.
Yeah, we got Buddy Matthews versus Kazuchika Okada for the AEW Continental Championship.
You got to go Okada. I mean, Matthews is going to probably put up a hell of a fight, and I think they'll put him in a great spot, but they have not put him in a position to take the title off of Okada right now.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say this is the title change on the show.
Monumental upset if it happens. That's my opinion. I don't, we'll see.
I'm taking a chance on this pick, but I mean, that also gives away my pick for what is set to be the main event: Toni Storm versus Mariah May for the AEW Women's Championship. I got Mariah May in this one because I got to stand by what I said on that last match, even if I don't necessarily believe it.
Just man just wants to disagree. That's fine. And I'm gonna go Toni Storm. Toni Storm will win the women's championship here. This will be the big celebration. This will be the big moment of Grand Slam next weekend. And it'll be a fun little card. I mean, I watched Collision last night, right before we came out and did this, and there was a lot more women's matches. They had a lot more luchador stuff. And as a fan, I just thought this is what AEW should maybe try to do to be a little bit different right now. Focus on maybe some more of the luchador action, some more of the women's actions, and do something different. Overall, it was a great show. I'm hoping we have a great Collision next week. Should be fun. Not the best time slot if, the All-Star, game and everything runs a little late, then we'll see. But we'll see what happens.
Well, we also have NXT Vengeance, WWE NXT Vengeance Day crept up on us next weekend. I didn't realize this was happening so quick. You could tell who caught up on NXT this morning. and not a bad little card coming together for this. I'll, let's make some predictions again. We got Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. Uh, I think we're I think we're gonna agree at least that Javon Evans takes this.
uh, yeah. All right. I'm close because I feel like this feud could continue for a little bit, and I feel like they could continue to try to get heat with Ethan Page here. But I'll go with Javon.
Next up, we have Fallon Henley defending her NXT Women's North American Championship
Yes.
against Stephanie Vaquer. I had
I'm
that
gonna go
written down
Stephanie
wrong
McCurr.
in the notes.
No, Stephanie McCurr, and I think Stephanie McCurr will win the championship here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And you talked about three-way matches for WrestleMania earlier.
Yeah.
We have two three-way matches at the top of this card. Julia versus Bailey versus Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. I
I,
have a feeling that Julia's going to retain.
I would headline this show with this main event. I feel like the women's match is actually more intriguing, and I will agree. I think Julia is going to keep this. I think we are going to lead towards Roxanne and Bailey feuding, and I think that could be a match at WrestleMania.
That could be a huge match. And for the heavyweight championship, when I saw this match, it kind of gives away who's going to win, but I am very much less excited for this.
Yeah.
Obafemi versus Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory for the NXT Heavyweight Championship. Obafemi is going to destroy these guys, even though they're going to try and double team him and take every dirty tactic in the book. But Obafemi has to leave champion in this one.
No doubt. No doubt. We will agree on every single one here, Joe. I could have disagreed with you on Javon and Ethan, but I didn't. So every other one of these, I think, is pretty in line. I think, maybe they won't put the North American Women's title on Stephanie Vaquer, but I think they will. But everything else, I think, in this main event, you have to go Julia and you have to go Obafemi right now.
100%. We're going to bounce around to some news around wrestling this week. One interesting one that I only saw clips of, and I don't know if you know more about this, was Hulk Hogan on the Pat McAfee show. And from what I hear, Hogan tried defending the booze. McAfee was able to get some, sarcastic shots in on him that, from what I saw, seemed to go over his head. But what a step to take in damage control in this situation. Do you think in Hulk Hogan's mind he believes that this helped clear the air on why everybody booed him?
No, but I think Hogan's been consistent here in the sense that he continues just to try to ignore it and go away and deflect from the racist comments he's made. He's going to blame it on the politics and everything like that, which I think is a part of it, but it's not. It's not everything, pal. These people are upset about a lot of horrible things you said, and you've never really apologized or really made the efforts, that people like Mark Henry have said they've given you a platform. If you want, we could go out and, speak against this. And he's always kind of chose not to do that. So, this is where we're at. And this is pretty typical Hogan from what I've seen.
Yeah. And it's wild because even though a lot of people get mad at him, he still gets in a place to get these public appearances just on the name alone, which is kind of wild. You got to think at some point this is going to catch up with him. But I don't know. Even up till now, he seems to survive. And that's kind of crazy. But some people who haven't survived, there was a recent list of WWE releases. Some you could see coming. Some were very surprising. Of the list I dropped on us here, I didn't even put Sonya Deville on the list. I thought that was one of the more surprising ones. Duke Hudson let us know this week he had been released. And then you had like Blair Davenport, Authors of Pain, Paul Ellering, Cedric Alexander, all released. Giovanni Vinci, Isla Dawn, who was just a tag team champion this year. And that was a big, moment. And then the Good Brothers as well. That one was less surprising just because of how often they hadn't been used.
Right.
But it's still kind of wild that a team that big is being let go.
Yeah. Blair Davenport too. We didn't talk about the former was it Bria Priestley at one point. I wonder what will happen to her because she had that relationship with Will Ospreay, and I don't know if that would affect her getting into AEW, but it kind of makes me wonder. The interesting thing about some of these releases though is that WWE has this talent agreement with TNA, and I feel like some of these wrestlers could very easily end up in TNA.
Yeah, TNA would be a great place for these guys to pop up, especially somebody like if Cedric Alexander was used a little less. He would be, I think, awesome in TNA. And maybe they even have a chance to eventually sign with TNA and kind of make their way back to NXT like a few other talents have across the wrestling landscape. And let's see if I can pull this up here.
Yes.
And we saw Fandango, or JDC as he is known in TNA, pop up in NXT this week. Somebody who, outside of NXT, he's done moderate to well in TNA, but the reaction he got coming back to the Fandango music, having the name up on the board, but still referring to himself as JDC, it was an interesting way to see somebody come back.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really well done in the sense that, he came back as the character he left and people would recognize him, but then explained, that he's now JDC and part of the system in TNA. So I thought that was a great way to kind of like, okay, let's get everybody back on this character, but also get people to pop for him. And it sets up this Heritage Cup Rules Championship match, which I guess are really just normal rules now, which is also kind of weird. Excuse me. Sorry about the cough button, Joe. Are normally, used to be done in round system. And now we don't have the round system, which I guess is part of Lexis King's, the Brian Pillman Jr.'s character here, that, he's going to be doing this. So I don't know. I miss the old round system, but interesting to see Fandango back. And, I don't know if it's going to be anything permanent, but it was cool. It was cool for the moment.
Yeah, I really hate the getting rid of the Heritage Cup rules thing. That is far less enjoyable, I think, for me. If it's part of Lexis King's character and they bring it back with whoever wins it next, I'll be much happier with the way things are. But I thought JDC came in looking like a bigger star. And it has me excited for this match where I can't think of the last time I was excited for a JDC match.
Absolutely.
Something I am excited about because I saw you put up this comparison recently and I thought it was a good one. CM Punk, Kevin Owens. It's interesting because these are two guys known for having an attitude in the business, one more so than the other. They came from that heavily independent ROH type scene. They've both made it onto the big stage, and I'm hard pressed to pick one between these two because these really are two of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, two guys overall really good. Similar, like I said, backgrounds. They came from Ring of Honor, a lot of stuff they did, independence, and they both made it despite the fact that they might have not fit the look at the time. CM Punk was probably a little too skinny and too small, people thought, to be a WWE champion, but he was. And then you got Kevin Owens, who's been world champion, universal champion in WWE, and and main evented WrestleMania with Steve Austin at one point. So, I mean, both these guys have had huge careers at this point. And one of the big things they have, despite the fact they can go in the ring, is they both can talk. They're both great promo guys. So that's why I really like this comparison a lot. I thought, and actually when I did it, I was surprised. Why didn't I think of this one sooner? Because these two definitely have, like you said, such similar backgrounds, such similar skill sets. And although, Kevin, a little more, heavier set individual, still don't have the classic WWE looks. Punk maybe a little more so now, but this is probably Punk at the best shape he's ever been in his career. So to make a pick here, if I'm going to go better all-around in-ring performer, man, oh man, it's a tough one. I think I'm going to lean towards Kevin Owens. And although Punk might be more of the man and maybe even have a little more of that it factor that gets people going, I think Kevin Owens in his career, despite the fact some would consider him an overachiever, is also underrated. This is a guy that it feels like no matter whether he loses a bunch of times, he could still talk his way and make you think he could win a world championship. You know, he's got that kind of talent.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with Kevin Owens. You know, I think the thing that pushes me a little bit more about Kevin is if you looked at these two guys and presented them to like a non-wrestling fan, I think the non-wrestling fan might get behind CM Punk a little more.
Right.
But what we've seen through Kevin throughout his whole career, but it's really came out in WWE, is the in-ring work, the on the mic work, the ability to get in these big matches. Like he had a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania that, you know, a lot of people didn't think Stone Cold would do one more match. And Kevin Owens was the guy to bring that out of him. So I think you got to give that advantage to Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I agree. No arguments.
Now, we have talked about a lot of stuff around the ring. That might be another show's segment, but is there any other news and notes before we get out of here? Because as everybody knows, this is Super Bowl Sunday. Whether you're excited for the big game, whether you're excited for the halftime show, you know, we're here talking wrestling. And Dave, there's got to be something else that had you excited this week.
Yeah, there's a couple things. One thing we did talk about that probably got made last night, but Harley Quinn. Oh wait, that's not her name. What is her name in AEW? Cameron. Yeah, Harley Cameron is. She's not the Batman villain. No, she's going to wrestle Mercedes, and she was doing a little concert last night where Mercedes interrupted, but she's gotten the people quietly behind her and stuff like that, just through a lot of her promos and everything. And I have to say, like, I'm impressed with her talent. The more and more I see her and the opportunities she gets, I don't know how far she'll make it, but hey, good for her. You know,
where's that match taking place? And she is entertaining.
It's supposed to be on Grand Slam.
Oh wow! So we missed that. So Mercedes, Harley Cameron.
I'm gonna go Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Mercedes. Harley's entertaining enough to get herself into the match and get featured, but the way they're making Mercedes this belt collector right now, you know, you got to see that she's got it. And when you're talking about who's got it, there is only one entity in the drink game that's got it, and that's Game Up Hard Hydration. If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store. Author Ray Lopez presents Lock Up, professional wrestling in our world. Lock Up dives headfirst into the colorful world of professional wrestling. Explore the iconic characters, careers, matches, history, and families, and delve into the bizarre and fascinating entwining of professional wrestling and film, television, football, politics, gender, and race. Pre-orders are available now on Amazon.com or at MascotBooks.com. This is the perfect gift for the wrestling fan in your life. Pick up a copy today on Amazon.com or at MascotBooks.com.
Hey, all you goddamn wrestling fans out there, listen, Old Black Bart has got a book. It's called Wrestle Black Bart. It's got some dadgum good stories in there about some dadgum good wrestlers.
Read stories of Dusty Rhodes, the Von Erichs, Scott Casey, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Mr. Fuji, Ron Bass, Bruiser Brody, Mike Davis, the Grappler, and many others.
And I guarantee you one thing, that it'll be the best dadgum read you've had in a long, long time.
Get your book today at Russellville.com or on Amazon. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harris, and Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.